personalized attention. And our face-to-face and online classes offered in 8-week terms are designed with working professionals like you in mind. No wonder the Kansas City Business Journal ranks Park University as the top MBA program in the area. Classes begin June 10th at all 4 KC area locations: Parkville, Downtown, Independence, and Lenexa. Visit park.edu to get started.
I was duped, and I recommend you be next. For better or worse, the ultra-realistic impression of me sits now in my wife's office to spook her on a daily basis. So what is Doob? D-O-O-B. It's the keepsake of a lifetime, a 3D-generated, incredibly lifelike figurine. 66 cameras take an image at exactly the same moment in any pose, and state-of-the-art 3D technology transforms that into exact replicas of you, anyone you know or love, a pet, whomever is close to your heart. Create lifetime memories with a Doob. Visit their Facebook page at Doob 3D Kansas City, or better yet, see their incredible creations. Visit their location down on the plaza in the heart of it at 231 West 47th Street in KC Mo. Doob, be next.
For many people, a family law case will be one of the most difficult experiences in their life. The law firm of Kenneth McRae will help you through it. Personal and effective help from Ken in concert with you will develop a unique strategy for your unique case. As Ken always says, divorce can be civil law, not civil war. Licensed in Kansas? Visit McRaeLawOffice.com or call 913-972-4765.
Looking for a truly unique escape from your normal entertainment or corporate team-building regimen? Stay tuned for an exclusive offer only for reasonably irreverent listeners. I'm excited to tell you about an extraordinary destination, the Exit Room, located in the heart of beautiful downtown Lee Summit. The Exit Room is a distinctive entertainment option that offers a cool alternative to the normal couples night out, family get-togethers, and corporate team-building events. The Exit Room is a one-of-a-kind boutique escape room catering to special occasions and corporate team-building events and is unmatched in the Kansas City metro. With 5 individually designed and varied escape room adventures, your party or employees can unplug from their electronic world, interact with one another, match wits, and ultimately escape the humdrum of the ordinary. The Exit Room adventures cross decades and centuries and create fascinating fun. I know the owners well. They are local folks, their staff is warm and friendly, their lobby is inviting and beautiful, and their adventures are award-winning. Check online. There are over 1,000 reviews, and note that they are a rare 5-star ranked business. Visit their website and Facebook page, and any of my listeners who books online at theexitroomkc.com using the promo code ClinkScale19 gets 10% off any ticket purchase. The Exit Room in Lee Summit. Unplug, interact, and escape. Back with Al Wallace. His book is One for the Coyotes. It's a life story, and you heard the story of why it's one for the Coyotes, and now he's found his best-looking girl, which is television, and he starts in Lubbock, Texas, where he went to college. And how quickly did this love affair blossom and start to turn into something that you could see had a great future for you?
Real quick, and the main reason why, Danny, was the discipline that television and or radio requires. If you're supposed to be on the air in either industry at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock's not 10:01. That's 10 o'clock.
Right.
If you've got to hit a commercial break, you've got to hit a commercial break. There's no, I decided to do this or go this way.
Right.
So I grew up with a lot of
It ain't a
discipline.
podcast.
Yes. Yeah. Doggone right, you know. But that's where it hit home is when I realized how much teamwork is involved in putting together a newscast, whether you're on the production end or the news department end or whatever, and how much discipline was involved with every single day the show must go on. Every single day is something different. Every single day you're working with a team to achieve a goal. I had that as a kid. I had that playing football. And this was the first time since playing high school football that I had something. Are you kidding? TV?
Right.
I mean, I wasn't working on the highway.
Right.
I wasn't, with all due respect to those industries, like roofing a house or something. I was working TV. This was at that time, man, this was almost a new industry. This was cool, and I loved it.
Lubbock, and then the next step was very next step, Las Vegas?
Yes, yeah. You can read in the book how I transitioned from Lubbock to Las Vegas. But basically, after working for 7 years in Lubbock television, but basically living in Lubbock for almost 10 years, with all due respect to the state capital of the state of Kansas, living in Topeka for 10 years or in Lubbock for 10 years was not where I wanted to be at
Right.
the time. So I decided to leave. I got a job offer in Las Vegas. I took it. I was only there 3 months. Basically, in a nutshell, I worked the entire first month I was there. I worked every day, with the exception of one. I went in after 2 weeks. I was a one-man sports department until they could bring a second person on that they knew they had to hire, but they had to wait. My first day was like February 2nd, and then that was a sweeps. That's a ratings period, February. And so they had to wait to move the main news anchor to be the main sports guy. I was going to do weekends. So they had to wait until after the ratings, March. So I had to work every day. I was a one-man sports department. After 2 weeks, I was burned out. I hadn't even been able to unpack. And so my news director let me off. He said, we'll get the weekend weather guy to do sports. You take the day off. And I went down to Caesar's Palace, and I saw Diana Ross. I sat in one of those big booths in the front,
Right.
that could seat 10 people.
Right.
I sat there by myself, and I drank hard liquor, highballs. And I watched Diana Ross was 20 feet in front of me. The last time I drank liquor was that night, and that's an honest. That's a fact. I'll drink Boulevard wheat, but that's it. I don't drink liquor at all, and I just knew then that this was a mistake, taking this job in Las Vegas. But it was a job, and I had to stick it out. But before I left Vegas, I had applied for jobs in Atlanta, San Diego, and Kansas City. I had sent tapes out. One station, KCTV5, sent me a note back, said, don't call us, we'll call you. And I worked there for 1 month. And then my first day off was going to be a Monday. And on Sunday night, the new sports guy, Scott Reynolds, called me. And he said, I know you're off tomorrow. Tomorrow's my first day. He said, man, but if you could just come in tomorrow just for an hour in the afternoon and help me.
This is in Vegas still.
This is in Vegas. He said, if you can just come in tomorrow and just help me put a few things together. Just help me out just a little bit. And I said, not a problem. Not a problem. I'll do this for the team.
Right.
I'll do one for the Coyotes. Literally.
Right.
And I went in. I helped him for 1 hour. And then I left, went out the back door. I was getting ready to get in my car. A guy sticks his head out of the back door and says, Al, you got a phone call. I go back in. It was Mike Lewis from WDAF-TV. Here I am.
There you go. What was it like transitioning to Kansas City? Say when it was, and what was it like for you?
Well, Mike Lewis says, I know you can't talk right now, probably there at work. So I drove home. 20 minutes later, he calls me, invites me to come for an interview 2 weeks after that, after the phone call, which was approximately March 15th. He called me back soon after that and says, that's not going to work, something's come up, so we can't have you in for an interview until April 2nd. Your sports calendar, Danny, tells you April 2nd, 1985 is one day after Villanova beat Georgetown for the national championship
Right.
on April Fool's Day. My future boss, Frank Bowl, is with photographer James Edwards in Fort Myers, Florida, covering the Royals at training camp. The day I visit for my job interview, April 2nd, Gordon Dockings in the sports office takes a phone call from Frank. And all I could hear was this guy on the other end of the line celebrating with numerous four-letter words, Villanova winning the national championship.
Right.
And so that's how I was introduced. That's how I met Frank Bowl. He didn't meet me, but I met him. And eventually, my first day at work at WDAF was May 8th, 1985. So I was basically in Las Vegas for only 3 months. It's a detour that I look back on it now, I felt was necessary because I might not have got this job.
Right.
My news director at the time, Mike Lewis, was looking for me in Lubbock, and they said, no, he took a job in Vegas. And so he found me, but that's how that transition worked. And, I got to cover the World Series.
Right away.
Now, I didn't go to one single playoff game, Blue Jays or Cardinals, but I moved to what I would call a professional championship town. I wanted to work in a market where it had Major League Baseball, football, and basketball. Well, the Kings had just left. I mean, a week before I showed up in May. And that's where my connection to Kansas City started.
What was you're talking about 3-man sports staff, pretty big deal at the point in time. Championship team, baseball was huge in Kansas City. Just professionally, how quickly was it a rewarding experience?
Actually, we had a 4-man sports staff because Denny Treese, we carried the Royals games.
That's right.
So we had 4 sports guys. But Denny was gone 6 months out of the year, and then the rest of the time, it was professional. That's the best way to put it, man. I mean, I was in the pros. I made the show, and but that's not why I was hired. I was hired to cover high school stuff, and on my resume tape, I had a lot of high school football, had a lot of high school sports. I had Southwest Conference sports, but I had no I went to training camp with the Oilers. In San Angelo, where it was about 1,000,000 degrees in the middle of August, but that was it. But I was hired to cover the high school sports, and I like doing that. But I also, I got a taste of the big leagues.
Right.
It's funny. In spring of '86, Frank goes, "Hey, look, this is after the Royals won the '85 World Series." He said, we just don't have the time or the schedule to get you to training camp. So if Kansas in '86 March goes to the Final Four in Dallas, you're going to have to cover that.
Right.
And I said, fine, great.
Right.
And that was my first connection to Kansas basketball on what you might call a semi-national level.
Kansas and Lawrence has had a big impact on you. Obviously here in Kansas City, I can see the timeline. You were a single man in Kansas City on television for a while before you would meet your eventual bride. Single man in Kansas City on television. What was that like?
Running the streets. I didn't live on the plaza on Friday nights, but I knew how to get around. And it's funny because when I first moved here, I never imagined that I would move here and stay here. My dream job was in Dallas. Right. So I took a job in Dallas. I was able to move to Dallas. I took a job at the NBC affiliate in Dallas in the summer of '89. And I was executive producer of sports in an 8-man sports department. I was hired as executive producer, and I did some on-air work and eventually became the weekend anchor. But then I was only in Dallas for 13 months. And
what happened there? First, why did you decide to leave? Because it was your dream market. Right. And then why did it only last 13 months?
It only lasted 13 months because for a couple of reasons. And one of them was, and this is in no certain order of importance or significance, but one of them was I had the problem of wanting to win every game, of wanting to win every day. And sometimes that's just not possible. And I was at the NBC, and we were getting our butts kicked, and in my opinion, on a daily basis by WFAA and that staff that no longer had Vern Lundquist, but in the past they'd had Bill McAtee, and they also had Dale Hansen, and they had so we were 8 versus 8, and there were only 3 network. There was no Fox at the time, but Fox station I should say, but. They beat us all the time. Well, I just didn't understand that as executive producer in sports. I didn't understand that. And so I was a terrible people person. I treated people terribly because I wanted to win. I worked at Fox. I worked at WDAF here. We won all the time. Right. We had the Royals. We had the Chiefs. We won all the time. We were NBC. We carried all these games. Saturday afternoon baseball, Chiefs games when they were on the road, didn't sell out at home. But we got beat, and I didn't like it. And so I was a terrible person. 13 months, I put 39,000 miles on my car. Why? Because I lived at Valley Ranch. Right. And just back and forth. This is the first year of Jimmy and Jerry.
Cowboys train, right?
Cowboys. And, I thought high school football was a big deal. This is Jimmy and Jerry, day one, Troy, And it was tough. It was tough. I was offered, I got I moved down there in August. I signed a new contract in December to anchor weekends. And I noticed in the paperwork, I had a clause if I wanted to go to ESPN or CNN or a top either L.A. or New York market, if those were my outs. But I also had an out to go to Kansas City to return. I thought, what the hell's that in there for? I know you got some friends there. Well, I was offered to come back to Kansas City in the late summer. Hey, we want you back.